Hello again! Welcome back. As usual, I am Becca, going by Nightcat or Nightcat's Meow Win Online, and this is another week dealing with Linden scripting language. As promised last week, this is a follow-up talking a little more about dealing with texturing and how to properly send a texture through to an object. If you recall from last week, we had this little thing, and our HUD was set up to flick between a picture of my purple hair versus this little chalk drawing thing used actually on a sign when I was at a bar when the sim was followed Equestria. Anyway, either way, we're just going to adjust this thing's position a touch. This week, what I wanted to do was show you how to drop textures inside your HUD piece and be able to draw them out onto there. So here is how we are going to do that. The first thing, you're of course going to have to put your chosen textures inside there as soon as I actually remember which ones they are. There it is. Okay. Now that I'm cutting back with your actual textures in place, the first thing we're going to actually have to do is map them to part of your HUD. So the way that's going to work, actually the first thing we do is get it to select them. So the way we're going to do that is to get it to automatically create a list of the textures inside it. Now, we could do that so that it creates the list automatically whenever it starts up. But what we want to do is go ahead and set it up so that it will only have that list in memory when you're using it. So it'll be contained within the touch start section for texture. List pix equals, just give it an empty list, then integer count equals inventory number inventory texture. Move my cat. Something I've had you do in previous scripts we're going to implement here just to make sure that it's handling this correctly. Integer debug equals true. Once you have the count created, if debug owner say cast to string count plus space textures found. This is your simple way of testing that that part is working correctly. Right now, it's still going to behave the way it did before. Sample HUD, 2 textures found. That is exactly what we wanted to see. What happened here is the pix list I created here actually overrode the existing pix list. That's why we only got the OK up there. You can see that by me removing that. Now you get the same options you had before, and it still gives you 2 textures found. we're eventually going to be removing the old list, so that's not really much at issue. We're also going to rename this. That way we'll wind up with the same, pretty much the same options, or comparable options anyway. So, now that we know that we're getting the correct number of options in there, we do a for statement. Integer I just establishes what we're going to work from. For I equals 0, I is less than count, another semicolon, and then I equals I plus 1. Then pix equals pix plus get inventory name, inventory texture, comma, I. Then if debug, owner say, and just for convenience, we're just going to create the list here. So string x. Two textures found, hair and shut up and eat it. You see not all of it fits on the buttons, but you still get them showing up. This, however, isn't going to work quite the same because if I just click those buttons and they don't match the ones in the listen, hair would, but other would not, then it's not going to respond to them. We actually no longer require those lines right there. And we're going to change the way the listen functions. We're going to change it to say set link texture to the prim for texture, comma, all sides. Now you may think this is not quite, sorry, I may have had those backwards. Actually, I know what I did wrong there. I had to tell it what? Which piece? All sides? Did I get those out of order? When in doubt, consult the wiki. Yep, I got those out of order. I remembered all the correct arguments, but not the correct order. It's prim, which we already have linked here, to mean texture means 4, but this makes it more readable for us and easier to adjust as we expand the HUD. Which texture, which will be contained in the message this list receives, and then all sides isn't necessarily the best option, but it's a good one to work with for the moment. We will refine that very shortly. And that worked just fine. So let's see if step 1 worked. Yep. It automatically planted the textures on there. Now, you don't necessarily want this showing up directly on the front of the button. So, we're going to find out which side is the back of the button. We're going to do that with detected touch face. Took me a second to get that, remember that right. So it'll tell us what the detected touch face is on this specific prim. We click back here, that is 4. So we no longer need to have this script in here, so we can remove it. And then we're going to go back in here. Replace all sides with 4. Accidentally also remove the parentheses. Believe it or not, we are almost there. We're going to blank the textures on the entire thing again. It's fine. We choose that. It only shows up on the back there. So it doesn't interfere with the look of the rest of your HUD piece. The reason we have to do this is because we have to send the specific key to the prim that's supposed to receive it. In order to do that, we have to know what that specific key is. We can't read the key by script out of the inventory. We can, however, in many cases, read it off the prim. Owner say, detected texture. Unfortunately, they do not have a command as simple as get link texture, detected texture, and get link primitive parameters. We're also going to want to remember to cast that as a string. I went ahead and looked up the correct syntax for this. That is prim texture, integer face. We know the face is 4. Which is the same. There we go. Now this is going to give us a lot of information. Right there is the key. That's the part we actually want. The rest of this is information on how the texture is applied to the prim. But now we have the key we need. So if we can extract only that part of this line, then we can send it to here and flip it to any texture we stick inside here, with the possible exception of ones whose names are too long. But I can actually teach you how to trim that the same way I'm going to teach you how to pull out just this. Now, the easiest way is you have to actually count this out, or you can set it to look for this here. I'm going to show you the easy one. Just count it out. Remember, if you're dealing with a computer, the first character is counted as 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Alright, unless I missed a space in there somewhere, that is 35. It's actually 36 characters long, but that counts as 35 in computerese. So what you're actually going to want to do string pick key equals, and I grab from the wiki get substring to get the actual syntax. The source string, that's the total amount of text you're going to break down. That would be all of that right there. The integer for start and end. So we're literally just going to grab that whole thing right there. That is now the source. Start 0, end 35. Don't need to do that. So we just come in here, put pick key, get rid of the extra closing bracket that wasn't needed anymore. There we go. As you see, that is the exact right key. So, with that in place, we remember we're listening on channel 110. Region, say, 2. Get owner 110. Pick key. Capitalization blunder. One great convenience about the compiler is it will actually change color for certain type of things, making it easy to figure out where a flaw like that came from. Shut up and eat it. Picture of my hair. Yeah, the brick will work. Copy. Added the brick wall texture. Showed up right there. And there you go. The limit to this particular technique there are two of them. One is if the total length of the name of the texture is too long, that will give you a problem because it won't be able to add it to a button. And the other is if you have too many of them. I believe it can hold 12 buttons. So next week, I will teach you how to get past both of those problems, how to automatically use get substring to curtail anything that is too long, and how to rig it up with a plus and a minus, or a back and a forth button to be able to scroll through however long your list of actual textures is. And then the week after that, we should get on to doing the same thing, but by putting the triggers inside the receiving object, the textures inside the receiving object. At that point, it's literally just a matter of switching which piece gives you the menu. So, that's it for this week. Hope this has helped you all out. As usual, I will be setting these to post up no later than noon on Tuesdays, Eastern Standard Time. Whether they're up early usually depends on whether or not I'm having a problem with scheduled releases or not. So, until then, good day, good luck, and happy coding.